Mountains have always been my favorite things. After a night's rest, our adventure continues in Chongqing, China. Okay, so the adventure continues. We will be going for more sightseeing. Word is that we are going up some mountain today, which, is speaking my language. Slightly more continental today with some bacon and sausages, but also a bunch of other Chinese stuff. That looks very Chongqing. So we hit the road and the weather remains pretty much the same as yesterday. A vast blanket of wet fog over everything. So we are at a rest stop after a pretty long drive. Got ourselves some drinks. Weather remains very wet. We bought ourselves some zongzi, rice dumplings, and they were as tasty as we remembered. All the while, our bus continued to traverse the misty countryside as we traveled from Dazhu to the southern district of Nanchuan, enjoying the sight of the towns and terrain en route. That's some nice mountains. So we are headed to this mountain called Jingfoshan, which means Golden Buddha Mountain. We'll see what it has in store. So it says 东来金佛山滑雪泡温泉, which means come to Jingfoshan in winter, do some skiing and dip in some hot springs, which sounds like fun, but it's certainly not the season for that quite yet. Arrayed before us were the Dalo Mountains, wrapped in the ever-present fog and strikingly reminiscent of a Chinese brush painting. Really makes you feel like you're in China. Honestly, pretty incredible. So we've already gained quite a bit of elevation earlier in the bus, and we are about to gain more because there appears to be a ropeway right next. So what's pretty impressive also is how little tourists there are. So we probably are in an off-peak period or something, but it's nice not having the queue.
raindrops on the glass veiled the mountainous terrain outside. But what we could see of the landscape choked with clouds was nonetheless breathtaking.
Okay, so word is that we are at about 2060 meters now, so it is significantly colder up here. No surprise there.
We were greeted at the courtyard by a blinding fog, with traces of sleet and ice riding the freezing breeze.
I think there's a little snow and ice mixed into this drizzle here. It is pretty cool. Okay, I think we are about to get some lunch first of all, which is nice. We can use some fuel to endure this frigid environment. It's actually not much warmer inside here, but the steaming food, I'm sure it's going to make a difference.
White radish in hot soup. Simple enough dish, but incredibly comforting in the cold.
What can I say? Cold is the best spice for warm food. But honestly, the food is quite good. I think the mushrooms that they have is taken from the surroundings in the mountains, so the mushrooms tasted pretty good. Seeing a lot of like dummy snowmen down there. Probably this is kind of like a snow recreation center later in the year when it actually gets snowy. Okay, so this is Hu Fo Tong, which means ancient Buddha cave, and apparently there is a sort of naturally formed Buddha figure inside of the cave, so we're going to be checking that out. So we've got a number of Buddha statues here, and in particular this one right here is naturally formed. So I guess that's kind of the star of the show here.
The cave interior was surprisingly roomy, the product of an ancient subterranean river, and at its center was a natural rock formation that does indeed resemble a languishing Buddha.
There's actually kind of a crack in the cavern above the Buddha figure, almost like kind of a rupture in the sky. So that's pretty cool. So this is rather interesting. So here you can get yourself like a floating lotus. There's a candle in the middle, so you light it and then you let it into the water to kind of ask for good fortune, I guess. But what's interesting here is that this place is unmanned, and you can kind of just make your little payment with this QR code over here and then help yourself to a lotus. quite natural, obviously, but quite the piece of work. Apparently there are 1,250 of these figures all across this little cavern here, surrounding this figure of the Buddha. Wow, so the cavern actually extends further, and so do the sculptures all the way.
I couldn't find out who made these sculptures, nor when they were made, but my guess is they are modern, certainly a spectacle nonetheless.
Okay, we are done. This entrance is still really atmospheric. I really like it. Anyway, we're off. Coming down even harder now. You can quite clearly see it. It's not awfully cold though. Famous last words, but
The weather was deteriorating, and while it certainly feels atmospheric, it's going to make matters a little complicated for us. Jinfoshan is also known for beautiful nature walking trails, but with the blustery weather quickly darkening the day, it was starting to look forbidding to tackle them. We decided to forge forward nonetheless on one short trek.
very slippery conditions. We're having several cases of people slipping and falling already. I think it's going to limit how far we can go down this trail because of hazardous trail conditions. We'll see how far we can go.
Against the weather, we came eventually to an open lookout point and saw in the distance the ethereal dark shapes of great mountains.
Okay, so this is Jingwei Taoyang, which means a golden tortoise facing the sun. And the reason for that is that the shape of the mountains here, the front portion resembles the tortoise's head, and then the back portion, when it comes out, it looks a bit like the tortoise's shell. So it's kind of like an enormous tortoise. And presumably the sun could be there some days, but clearly not today.
Fanciful imagination aside, it really does look quite awe-inspiring. A towering monument of ancient rock, seemingly adrift in a sea of clouds. 犹如仙境.
Coming down now. Whew. That was worth it though. That was pretty cool.
also breathtaking, with the weather clearing a little, giving us another good look at the Great Tortoise.
Okay, here we are. We're back all the way down to the gate that we were at this morning. Having spent virtually the entire afternoon up there, we still, I think, missed a few things that we were supposed to go and see. Mostly because of the weather really slowing us down. The fortune for me is that I don't really know what we missed, so I am free to just be pleased about the stuff that we didn't. Okay, so we are apparently not done with the day. We have one more itinerary that was on the brochure show. We actually have to come here. It's kind of an old town, old street kind of place as well. But as you can see, it's a little bit on the deserted side of things. Looks kind of nice. I think they actually saw our group coming in and they turned on the lights. So this looks pretty nice now. But clearly this is an off-peak period because there's barely anyone else around here.
I may have spoken a little too soon, as the section a little ways down had some signs of life. Regardless, it was pretty quiet, and the rain left a wet, reflective pavement that nicely complemented the lights. So somehow everybody just got kind of absorbed into this little shop here, trying to get some snacks and stuff for the road. But no cap, I actually kind of like, the look of this town. It's actually pretty nice. Our bus took us to the neighbouring district of Pulong. After a long ride through the darkened countryside, the lights of a rather spectacular looking town came into view. This, however, wasn't our destination, as the bus swerved into a dim, narrow road, leading up another mountain. It'd been a long day, and we were very eager for a nice, big dinner.
So this is apparently 竹笼宴, which means bamboo basket feast, something like that. So
we were treated to a variety of steaming food served on dinnerware made of bamboo. Quite delicious, and a little less intense compared to last night.
So somehow my cup of beer keeps on replenishing itself. Fortunately, the beer here is, on the light side of things. So anyway, we've come from one mountain and now onto another one. This is Xianliu Shan, which means fairy mountain. And apparently the reason for that is that this place tends to be covered in cloud and fog all throughout the year. So basically Silent Hill, but kind of with a more romantic imagination to it. We are very certainly done for the day though. We are going to be heading to the hotel now and collapse. Any sightseeing is gonna be tomorrow.
And so we settled in for the night in our hotel in the mountain town of Xianyushan. And that is of course because on the next day, we're going to be checking out some of the incredible natural attractions nearby. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can come along